Um, the next session is a panel, and it's going to talk about online and offline content distribution. So how do people cope? The content distributors of Africa and global and the world would discuss with us how they manage to distribute content here in Nigeria. There's an offline-online dichotomy, like onshore, offshore, revenue share for Nigerian oil. So they will come here and explain how they have been able to cope and what challenges they have and what the next steps should be. So I want to welcome Mo Feleta. Where are they coming out from? Are they coming? Yeah. So we have Mo Feleta from Aviva. Aviva distributes content strictly offline. I don't know how they do it. Okay, first of all, I would like to welcome the moderator, Chidi Uguru, from Tech Cabal, who will handle this session, from Big Cabal Media, publishers of Tech Cabal. All right, thank you. So,
I can take over. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Chidi. I'm from Big Cabal Media. We're the ones that do Tech Cabal and Zikoko, and we're also in the media content production business. So this conversation is very, very important to me as we figure out ways to make content more accessible to everyone in this room. So I'm going to call on Mo Felata if he is... Can you help me get them, please? Apologies. It's very lonely on this stage. All right, so we're going to get Mo Felata from Aviva. He's the MD of Aviva. Say hi, everyone. And then we have Kunle from Iroko TV. Hi, everyone. And we have Nina from Netflix, but because we're in the digital age, she's going to join us via camera. Osita, are we good? You guys can sit down. Please sit down. Why are you staying far away from me? No, I don't think so. Thank you.
Hello?
Yes. I don't think
Hello?
Kunle's mic, okay.
It works.
Okay, so do we wait for Nina or do we just carry on? Do we wait for Nina or do we just carry on? All right. Okay, so just to get this intro going, I guess maybe you guys could tell us a bit about what each of your businesses do and maybe how they differ from each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Hello, everyone. So I'm Mo, CEO, founder of Aviva. We are content distribution for emerging markets. We're building solutions to get content to users using offline and online technology. And our focus is mainly the bottom of the pyramid. So our users actually can't get content directly online. They have to get it through offline means. So that's the main difference with everyone.
Okay. My name is Olakunle. I'm the product lead at Iroko TV. Iroko TV is an online content distribution company with some offline strategies. And we will be 7 years by December. So we've been in the industry for a little bit. I'm happy to have this discussion.
Okay, thank you guys. So what I'm getting from what you've just said is you're mostly an offline-based company.
Offline.
And from the discussion we had previously, because I had to prep them for this, you're offline and online.
Yeah, correct. We do online, and because of the market, we also focus on offline in Africa.
So since we're talking about Nigeria and Africa, let's talk about your strategy for Nigeria. When we think Iroko, we think, oh, online TV, online content. But when you think Iroko in Nigeria, it's more footwork. I have to see your agents. I have to go to a kiosk. So how does that work into your strategy and getting people to go online?
Okay. For us, it came out of, lots of research. Like I said, we've been 7 years trying to get content to people. About 3 years ago, we sat down and looked at our data, and we realized that even though we make a lot of revenue from outside Nigeria and outside Africa, the biggest market for us was still Nigeria, was still Africa, where the content is being made. So we asked ourselves, why are we not getting more Nigerians watching this? And it came down to data, right? The cost of data is just too much. We had to think about, how do we get Nigerians watching our content, which meant asking ourselves, how are they even watching it now? One of the things we had to answer was, we know Nigerians watch Nigerian content. We know they watch content a lot on their phones. If they don't have data to afford to download this content, where are they getting it? So we did some research. I myself went to Computer Village.
Okay.
Yes, I went to some hotspots where people get content. I sat down there for weeks.
Okay.
And we found out that there was an informal distribution network going on in all those places. People will go down, most of us might have seen those people, but might not have paid attention. They put like a small banner up and say, get your apps here, get music
Yeah, I think I've seen some of those.
Yeah, you see them around in a lot of places. And we realize that is how most people are getting their content. People go there, sit down, pay, 40 naira, 50 naira, 30 naira, and they get whatever movie they wanted. Music videos, all of it. So we said, why not try and adopt some of that behavior, see how we can use some of that behavior to push our content, and it has been relatively successful.
That sounds a bit like what you're doing also. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so we also did our research. We also studied Iroko and saw what the other players were doing in the VOD space, and we also came to the same conclusion. Hello? Okay.
I think we're still good.
Yeah.
I think we're safe.
All right, so for us, it was also a strategy to be able to exist. If we decided to do online VOD, then we'd just be another one of the VOD players out there. And offline now, apart from Iroko, there's really no one else doing it. And the market segment that we're focused on, they get their content in this informal offline manner. So what we've been doing since January is been testing, trying different solutions for content distribution. We talked about what we did in the markets. So we've been testing in Oshodi and Idumota, exactly. So what we did was we had people wearing our t-shirts, Aviva, and then going around carrying posters with the movies on them. We try to keep things simple, all right? We just tell people, hey, select the movies you want, the price is next to it, and then now the person selling will just do everything for them. Install the app, put the movies. Because in the end, the consumer wants to know one thing. Wants to, first of all, know which movies am I getting, and will they play on my phone? And that's it. How much does it cost? So keep things simple. So we decided to do that, and we've been testing that model for a while now.
Okay, so let's talk about cost. I think you have both talked about cost a bit, so let's just dive into that. Generally, we say that data is expensive in Nigeria. We say it's not accessible, and what I understand is that especially for your business model, you're trying to get people to go from watching things offline to a more online viewership. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, ultimately it's easier for us if people can just open up their browsers or their app and just stream and watch.
Okay, so what I'm trying to get to is something that we had discussed earlier, where generally we say that data is expensive, but if we look at the relative numbers, and I think you alluded to this, data in Nigeria is one of the cheapest, but somehow our problem is a per capita problem and not necessarily the absolute. So there was a lot of English in there. Just break it down for me.
So if you look at mobile data,
Okay.
right? Mobile data. In terms of mobile data, Nigeria's data is not very expensive. I'll give you an example. 4 gigabytes T-Mobile data in the US, for example, will cost you $40 a month.
Okay.
Right? And that is 4 gigabytes. If you convert that to Naira, you're looking at over 10,000. Right?
Uh-huh.
That same data in Nigeria on MTN will cost you 3,000 Naira. Right?
Yeah.
So there is a difference there.
Okay.
So it's not as if it's very expensive. It's just that the purchasing power of the Nigerian today is not that high.
So, but can we blame everything on this purchasing power? Can we blame people not going online on just purchasing power? Because people are spending their money on other things. Why aren't they spending it on data? Or is data the real problem?
What percentage of their income are they spending on data? They're spending a lot of it on data. If you look at telco data for how much data people actually buy in a month, the average person buys 1 gigabyte of data, right? Because of where we are, most times we forget that we represent like 0.1% of the population.
Okay.
Right? The bigger market, where everybody is in, they don't spend up to 500 Naira on data a month. And that is the plain truth. And that is where the market is. Because they just cannot afford it.
Mo, you wanted to chime in?
No, I totally agree with him. So for us, in order to understand this bottom of the pyramid consumer, like we actually based ourselves in Fadei, which is like a real local Nigerian neighborhood.
Yeah.
And in the neighborhood, we see people who are watching.
Okay, just hang on a sec. I think we're gonna wait for everyone to open their cookies and their T-shirts so that then maybe you can hear me. Are we done? All right, we're gonna come to the audience very soon. So carry on. You're in Fadei and Idomota.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I've sometimes I go and watch a football game in the neighborhood. I don't know how you call it. It's not a bar, but it's like there's a TV there, and people come and sit down and watch games. So I go there just to see, just to understand, and I see people turn on their phones just to get the score of the football game, and then turn off the data when they're done. So it's like, so this is the kind of consumer you have. The phone is most of the time offline. So the app you're building has to work offline. Images have to keep showing offline. Okay, so this consumer is very different different than what Netflix is building for, and what most of the online VOD players are building for.
Okay. So I think I'm gonna go and look in the audience for a bit if anyone has any questions for my panelists. And I'm not sure if Nina is coming back on. All right, so I think, how do I get down here? If there are any questions, thank you very much, sir.
So there's a mic here if anyone wants
Okay.
to. Yeah.
So I was wondering if anyone has any questions for Iroko TV or for Aviva. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. My name is Peter. Okay, I should be on my feet, sorry. Sorry. My name is Peter.
Hi, Peter.
I'm Axis African Regional Coordinator. So my question is, we're talking about local content, which is very important to Nigeria or Africa. So my question is, how is content being developed Is it tailored to Nigeria's need or African need? Thank you very much.
How is content being developed? I think maybe you should get that, Kunle. You.
For Iroko, our content is developed based on feedback we get from our users, right? We look at the data, see what people like, and we create content for them. We don't try to be, what we try to do most times is make sure whatever it is we create, whatever content we put out there is something that will further the entertainment value for our customers. I don't know if that answers your question, Peter.
Okay, sorry, can I say something?
Please.
Okay, so we at Aviva, we don't create content, we partner with content producers, okay? Because resources, small startup, small resources. So one thing that I have noticed with our content partners is a lot of our content partners are Yoruba movie producers, marketers, because we have to follow a niche. It's easier for us that way. And one thing I've noticed is that they have particular sets of actors who are like the face of the industry. They're going to make posters, movie posters, banners with those faces on it. Even if that person has 2 seconds in the movie, that face will be on the poster. And apparently that helps sell the movie. So content, they make content, but they make sure that their stars are there.
Except you can explain the question a bit. Maybe we're not getting exactly what you're asking.
Thank you. Because when we are looking at local content, content distributor just don't produce content and expect African or user to engage with it. We're talking about inclusion. We're talking about people, we gather together building a community, because if you build content that tailor to the user need, then the user can engage with it. Because if you don't build content tailored to our need or to the African context, then you don't expect user. Now, I'm talking about how you produce the content. Is user part of the process of developing this content? Because many people develop content and they get it across to us, and you said you should engage with. Is it tailored? Because like what Sunday Afolayan was said, he said we need to build a community. Any content developers or producers that want to come or engage people in our land, our community, they must include users. I want to know how you include them to produce this content, because we are discussing of getting people, you know, across to the internet. How do you get those people that are excluded online? You need to know their need. You need to bring them. They need to be part of the process of developing it. So how do you get these people in to be part of this process so that they know that they are part of it and it is what they needed that you are producing? Thank you.
Peter, I want to make sure you're not asking if we're using some of our bus drivers as waka pass in movies. Is that what you're asking? I just need to be sure. Because I think we've talked about engagement. You've gone, for example, Aviva, you've gone into the markets, you've gone into Idromota. So he is engaging people, and tell him, you're engaging people, you're talking to your market people.
Yes. So I think he's asking about the content production end, which we're not really a part of.
So like I said earlier, we look at the data closely for us. So there are two ways we decide on what content to produce, right? The first is we look at what are people watching. You know, that's why on Iroko TV today, you see some content, they'll have a rating of 20%, right? And you see some content that will have ratings of 99%. Apart from those data people see on the outside, we also look at some data about what people watch, how long do they watch it for. We send out surveys to them from time to time to figure out why they like this over this. So we do a lot of number crunching. We also work with producers outside who are in the streets trying to create the new top content. And that is how we come up with the content we produce. The people are fully engaged and fully involved in the process.
All right, thank you. Do I have another question? I think maybe we'll go to this end of the room. Maybe, please, sir. Yes, please, you're already standing. Who has the mic? All right, fine.
Good morning or good afternoon. My name is
Good
Michuki.
morning.
Hello. Internet Society. So I have a question with respect to scaling this to the next 1 million. Now, looking at the way, it seems that the access issue is the challenge. And for a lot of the content that you have, getting it to the next 1 million people. Are you looking at partnerships with the people who provide the access providers? And let me give an example. During the World Cup, there was a service provider that came up with a solution where for about $4, you'd have unlimited access to the games, all the 60-something games. And that enabled anybody who had a phone and access for $4 plus the cost of their data had access to all the games. Now, are you looking at those kind of partnerships with service providers, and in this particular case it's the service providers, to see how you can leverage what you have because it's already local to get it delivered to the people at the last mile?
Oh, definitely. We are always looking to partner with providers, network providers. The main delay in rolling out some of those partnerships is with how such deals are structured. Telcos can take their time on some things, and most telcos are trying to figure out the best way to generate revenue from data these days, since the cost voice revenues are going down and all of that. But we are engaging these people. We are engaging them. I'll give you an example. We just concluded a partnership with MTN Ghana on something similar to what you just discussed. But that conversation took close to 2 years, right? So while we're happy to do that, to partner with as many operators as possible, as many providers as possible, it just takes a little bit longer than we would want it to.
Yeah, and so for Mo, for example, you're mostly an aggregator of these. You get the movies from someone and you put it on in-flights or you put it on the roads when people are watching. Would this be a good idea for your business, do you think? Because people turn on their data, get the movie, and then turn it back off. So,
Okay, so our business, everything is about partnerships, okay? We don't have content, so we partner with content providers. We don't have distribution per se, so we partner with anyone who wants to sell content. So one way that we're going about this is partnering with hotspot providers. That's something that we're looking into. The tech that we build makes it possible for anyone with a hotspot to actually make money from selling content. So yeah.
so it seems like a perfect deal for you. All right, I had on this end.
Hello, good day. My name is Michael Umor. I needed some clarity on something you said, Mr. Femi, Iroko TV. Yes, you said there was an analogy you gave on data costs in the US vis-a-vis costs in Nigeria. It was sounding like...
Mobile data cost.
Okay, mobile data cost, because it was sounding like you said our data is cheaper, ECT, but
yes,
I just needed some more clarity on that.
If you are looking at fixed line or fixed data costs, yes, it's cheaper because they have the infrastructure to pull that off. I'm talking about mobile data costs. It is much cheaper in Nigeria.
Okay, now, secondly, as part of this discourse, I was expecting, because inside this room we have infrastructure people. So as content providers, I was expecting, you know what, for example, main one, why don't we do this, do that, let us partner in this direction and in that direction, so that we could actually get affordable data or broadband to people, especially not people on the coast, because broadband is cheaper here in Lagos than in Abuja, where I live, or in Kano. And that is where we really need to get people connected, because that is where people would love to access most of your content. So I would like us to be part of that conversation between you and the guys with the infrastructure. You know, guys, like you just said, you did something in Ghana. What is happening here? We need that progress here in Nigeria, from the coast up into the country. Could we kickstart that conversation here and now?
So, Kunle, when are you free? He's asking for a meeting.
So to answer your question, we are happy to do whatever is required to get content to the users. Whatever conversation that needs to happen, I'm happy to be a part of it. I'm happy to put my 110% effort into making it work. Like I said, we are always happy to partner with telcos or with, infrastructure, data providers. We're happy to do that every single time, because if people are not watching our content, what's the point of having it?
Okay, so I'm going to cheat and ask my question now, because I have the mic. We're going to talk about regulations. How does that come into play with some of the partnerships that you've talked about? Are there any regulatory bumps or potholes that would make this a more difficult journey?
Yeah, so it depends on which partnership. I know NCC has some regulation around partnering with data providers. I know, yes, there are some bottlenecks around partnering with data providers, especially if you are not, you have to be a VAS, have a VAS license to do some of these partnerships, which can be a drag to get sometimes. That license can be a drag to get sometimes. But outside of that, I haven't encountered any other regulatory bottleneck.
All right. Yes, sir. Sorry, hi, my name is Chidi. What's yours? Hi, David.
So some of your products that people watch, I noticed that your content are on GoTV, that people get to some channels and they watch it. But when it comes, some will be specific, it's like optional, they want to select, they're selective on what to watch. And you notice that some of this, your content, when you, some of them are not downloadable. You find it difficult to download them, to keep them and watch it offline. And we are talking about taking internet to 100 million Nigerians. And some of these 100, you notice that when you subscribe to MTN data, you notice that within 3 days, maybe you subscribe 1.5 and the thing got finished. And you subscribe again. Before the end of the month, you will notice that you have used over 10,000 naira to subscribe for a particular. Is there no way you people, maybe Iroko TV can further subsidize it to get people into it?
So,
do you get my question?
Is this question for him or for
him?
Or over there?
No, for him. I'm asking him.
What is happening?
I'm not sure. Everybody seems to agree with his question, is what's going on.
But isn't this an MTN problem?
So
no, I don't know if you get my question.
Let me try to summarize so that I'm sure I get you. You're asking, how can we make you getting the content cheaper? How can we make it cheaper for you to get the content?
No, not just, our target is to get to 100 million Nigerians.
Yes.
And you find out that some of them, they can't get to that because of the cost of, what you say that, data is cheaper here in Nigeria. You notice that if you subscribe, you watch, you download, at the end of the month, you might spend 20,000. That is the truth. Because some of your content, you might not watch it offline as to download. It's not downloadable. Your data will be on until you complete it. And selecting a movie to watch, like the one you do in GoTV and the rest, you already have the movies programmed there for people to watch. But some would like some of the movies you have, if you go online, you see series of movies and we say, okay, let me watch this one, let me watch, which you might not see it in that GoTV. So how do we, will I use the word subsidize for that so that we'll be able to get to that 100 million Nigerians? Okay. So that's the question I'm asking.
All right. Let me answer that.
It's a jam question.
No, it's fine. It's a valid question. In fact, it's a question we try to answer every day. Every day I go to work, that question you ask is what I try to answer, right? So first thing first, if you download Iroko TV movies on your device, your either Android or iOS, you can watch it offline for the next 30 days, right? So that's the first thing. In terms of the cost of getting the content itself, now that's a bigger question. I'll tell you some of the things we are doing to make sure people can get it cheaper. That's what I'll tell you. What we've tried to do is make our content shareable. Meaning, if you download 10 of our movies, you can actually share it with anybody else who has Iroko TV on their phone. That's one. You can do it from within the app. Two, we are building a network of agents across the country. We are doing a test run right now. At the moment, we have close to 150 agents across the country, where if you open the Iroko TV app, there is a button there that says find an agent. There's like an icon at the top. If you tap on it, you see the closest agent to you. If you walk to any of these agents, they can give you whatever movie you want at a reduced cost. It's not free, but they'll give it to you at a very reduced cost. Some agents charge a flat fee for a month. Some agents will charge you 20 naira per movie that they share with you, right? What we envision is a situation where anybody around Nigeria can own an Android device, download movies, whether with their own data, and generate revenue for sharing that same movie with other people. We don't take any cut of that. Anybody can do that. So those are some of the things we're doing to reduce the
But I think you're
cost.
also doing the kiosks where they can come and download those movies without
so,
any cost to them.
The reason I didn't mention the kiosk is because we don't have enough to cover the entire country. Like you said, we are going to 100 million Nigerians, right? Yes, we have kiosks across Lagos that you can walk to and get movies for free. If you go to any of our kiosks in Lagos, you see them, they are the pink kiosk that says Nollywood on top of it. If you walk into any of them, you get any movie you want for free. That is, download it for free. We are also working on some other solutions that we haven't rolled out yet, but I can give people a preview of it. We've actually built devices that can be deployed that will run on solar. We tested it out with solar panels.
Okay.
Once you plug solar panel to it and you hang it anywhere, it broadcasts a Wi-Fi network that anybody around who has an Iroko TV app can download any Iroko TV content they want for free, right? So that device we are testing it out now, but we are not sure when we are going to. Hopefully next year we'll roll it out, but we are working on different solutions to solve this.
But then there's also, you can clap, but then there's also Aviva that I guess you can get movies for about 20, 15 naira? 30 naira. And so that should be a cheaper option also. Sir.
So
Sir.
our agent
Sir.
network is actually across Nigeria.
The effort is that if he works in Lagos, he can work everywhere. So we want it to work in Lagos. Thank you very much. Can we get another question, please? No, this side has monopolized the question. Sir, please, Edjo, please. Thank you. Thank you very much. Can we give, I haven't got any questions from this, so this is all free. Anyone? Do I give it back? All right, majority spoke.
Hello, I'm Alassane Aliou Mohammed from the academia. Now my question is this. Generally, when you look at our problem in this country from security to economy, it has to do with knowledge. Now, the question is this, to both Iroko and Viva, how do we take learning? Now you establish a market while you distribute this content. Now, can we take learning into that? So how can we achieve that? Because once you are able to get the woman in the market to be able to use this method and learn, and then you educate more people using this kind of avenue, then at least we will take the ordinary Nigerian person I can stay in the village, download content on learning. I don't need to come to the town. I can only come and write my exam. I don't need to come because I cannot get the class I want in the village. So how do we take that to the ordinary Nigerian? By so doing that, we can now take learning to the ordinary person, both offline and online.
So just to paraphrase, are you first of all asking if they're creating content that people can learn from?
One.
Okay, and then how do we get that content to people? So it's a two. So the first one, are we creating educational content?
Okay, we are not creating educational content. We don't have the expertise to do that. However, we are happy to support any content or help, educational providers by lending our skills to get, educational content out there. I mean, send me a mail and we'll...
So that means you've gotten 2 meetings from this, from this side.
Sure.
All right. Do I have one more question? Is my time? Yes, a very loud yes from... No, Peter, you've gone before. Yes, sir, with your hand up over there. Yes. The mic is behind you over there. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Daniel Anyekan, and I looked at this structure to get to 100 million Nigerian. I look at it, if I don't have a smartphone, I cannot go to the internet. So to tackle the basic things, the basic needs of this awareness we're trying to create, what are we putting in place to make sure that these less privileged people that don't have this device that we want to get towards to, how can they get this device in a more affordable rate? That's number one. And how do you get to them to make sure that they are capable of getting these things? Thank you very much.
Do you sell phones too?
Interesting question. Yes, if you want to access the internet, the easiest way to do it is through a smartphone. Yes. Android smartphones are getting cheaper by the day. I think this question should be geared towards, one, the government, two, the telcos. And the reason I say this is, in most developed world, they don't pay cash down for devices, right? So maybe if we have any representative of any of the telcos here or any provider here,
Do we?
who can tell us why we cannot pay monthly for our devices? I think that's who the question should be for.
Wait, sorry.
Yes.
There's an Indian company that's using that model to get customers.
Okay. There's an
Do
Indian
you know of
in
an
Nigeria.
Indian telco?
There's a company in Nigeria doing that?
No,
There's
no.
an
In
Indian
India.
company,
In India. Okay. Are they your friends? Are they coming over anytime soon?
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
But they're doing a good job in India. I think they're selling cheap phones, and they're selling data with it.
Yeah, it's a telco. I've forgotten the name, but yes, it's true.
So there's a model that we can copy.
Yeah, there's a model we can copy. It's just Iroko TV can't do that at the moment. Sorry.
Yeah, and definitely not Aviva.
This could be a different arm of your business. You could start like.
We're searching for investment. If anyone is out there, we want to start selling phones.
All right. I think maybe the last question. Yes. Please, we haven't got anybody from here, and somebody just raised their hand. So please, let's be democratic still. Sir, do you want to borrow mine?
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
My name is McDaniels. My question to you both is, as content providers, and we're talking about localization of our contents here in Nigeria, I would like to find out if your contents are hosted here in Nigeria or outside Nigeria.
Okay, so again, we are 100% offline, so that means the content has to be here. Yeah, where the user, the consumer is.
Okay. At the moment, our content is not hosted here. So,
I'm sure this is for good, logical business reasons.
So, at the moment, our contents are not hosted here in Nigeria, but that is not to say we don't intend to, right? The CDNs we use have, hosting. Some of them have hosting in Nigeria here. What we try to do is to use a provider who has as many CDN, who has, servers in as many locations as possible in Africa. The one we use currently does have servers in Nigeria, but we have not actively tried to host content in Nigeria. But I'll tell you what we envision, right? We envision a situation where we can host our content in Nigeria, and the cost of connection to our content will be cheaper because of it. If we see a situation where you can tell us, host on this server, anybody who is coming from either MTN, Glo, Airtel, the cost of data to them is much cheaper because of it, we'll definitely be having, be 100% behind that. All right, let's have that conversation.
Please, we can also have that.
All right.
What's that?
I can give you that solution.
But let me say this again. If we can host, like I said, if we can host in Nigeria and the cost of data to our users is greatly reduced because of that.
You have a room full of people.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Wonderful.
Okay, so I have not question, not job offers. One last question. One last question. Let's go for you, sir. I don't think any ladies asked me.
Sunday for Lion.
Hello, sir.
When we get to this point, I always plead that we don't run away. And I'm very happy. I don't know why you asked me to take the mic, but thank you very much for that.
Am I in trouble?
No, you're not in trouble. You've done very well.
Okay.
But there's a low-hanging fruit this morning. Let's pluck it.
We're
If
listening.
you see all the hands up,
Yes.
they are infrastructure providers. They're in here.
Yes.
We have a content provider whose service is located out of the country and who cannot give a reason why that's the situation. So, what people want to know is that, are you afraid of some risks? Those risks have been mitigated. Bring the content because the consumers are not outside the country. They are much more in the country. So if this is the only thing we achieve in ngNOG 2018, I think greatest dividend of democracy. So, after this panel discussion, when there is nothing people are doing, let's create a fireside session somewhere, lock him and the people whose hands were up, except me somewhere, including the local hosting providers. Let us eat this frog. Thank you.
Sir, I think I'm going to close with that. I think locking him into a fireside conversation right now.
Well, I'm happy to do that.
You're happy to do it. I tried to save you. But
no, because it's valid, right?
Yeah.
It's valid. Like I said, my responsibility is to my users, right?
Yes, please.
Ultimately. So anything that will make their life easier, I'm 100% for it. So if there's a solution here today, we'll do it.
Thank you. And I think with that is a good conclusion to this panel discussion. Thank you to Kunle of Iroko and Mo of Aviva. And I'm sorry we couldn't get Nina, but thank you guys for joining me. My name is Chidi. I'm from Big Cabal Media. I also create content from techcabal.com and zikoko.com, so please go check those out. Thank you guys. Bye.